divorce or a separation is an emotional journey, just like a relationship is an emotional journey. So when you decide to end it, you're both going to be on slightly different timelines. And it's really important to recognise that, because the instigator of the divorce may well have been thinking about this for a long time. It could be several months or even several years. So it's not a shock to them when they announce that the relationship is over. But if you're on the receiving end of that, then it can be a real shock. And you can feel a mixture of emotions like anger and upset and shock, denial. All of those emotions are going to be very different to how your partner is feeling. And so recognising that you're in different spaces is really important. If you're the instigator, it's dead important not to rush your partner. They need time to process these really raw emotions. Just the same way you've had time to do it in your own mind, they need the same kind of time to unpick how they feel. So giving somebody time to adjust to the news that the relationship is over is the first step. The other thing that sometimes happens is you're obviously trying to live your lives during this emotional turmoil. And if you've got children, it's especially important to think about the impact on them. Now, we don't all live in a vacuum, so obviously children will pick up on a change in your relationship. They might see you no longer sleeping in the same room together, for example. They might hear the tone in your voice. They might sense the distance between you. So it's important not to take the view that you don't need to say anything to your kids. Lots of parents say to me, oh no, the children definitely don't know anything. But it's really amazing how much even quite young children can pick up. So it's super important to have an age-appropriate conversation with children to let them know that they're still loved and cared for, but that mummy and daddy's relationship might be changing. And to give them some detail, not about your personal relationship, but about some of the changes, but to focus on the things that are actually going to stay the same. So the fact that you're both going to be great parents together to them, the fact that they're going to be staying where they are for the time being, the fact that you might not have all of the answers at this point, but as soon as you do, you'll involve them in decisions about them so they feel safe and secure and they can navigate the change that you're going through as well. Another thing to be aware of is that sometimes in our effort to protect our children, we can end up modelling unhealthy behaviours. Children pick up on signs and feelings within a relationship and a household. So whilst you might want to protect the children by staying together, what might actually be happening is that you're role modelling unhealthy behaviours. If you're really in the thick of things and you're struggling to be civil to each other, or you're not able to actually work things out, but you may be giving each other silent treatment or just feeling that walking away is the best thing. Children are fine with couples arguing, seeing their parents arguing, provided they see the resolution to the argument. So if you're not in a place, and you might not be, and that's perfectly understandable, but if you're not in a place where you can resolve arguments constructively, then think about the impact that might be having on the children. And maybe at that point, it's better if one of you moves out or you have a discussion about how you can separate your time in the house together. Another big one is obviously financial decisions. And again, trying to make sure that you have a good process and a good space in which to talk about the emotionals as well as the financial aspects of the separation is really important. So finding a process that acknowledges that decisions around money and property will have an emotional side to them is really important. How you divide money and property is very much governed by your personal circumstances. So there is no one size fits all, but there is some guidance that the court uses when deciding whether or not a settlement is fair, and finding a process where you can hear that guidance together rather than going to two separate solicitors and hearing your best case scenario and then your partner hearing their best case scenario, and then there being that big wide gap in the middle that you end up fighting in. That's not very healthy, and it doesn't really work for families, particularly if you have children. So making sure that you find a process where you can work as a couple, that you can hear that information together, And then you can have some support to help you unpick how you're going to separate the money and the property that you have as a family. Now at Amicable, we offer a lot of help around exactly these kinds of things. We are trained specialists in dealing with conflict and dealing with emotions. So anybody that you talk to will be thinking about separation, not just from the legal perspective or the financial perspective, but also from the emotional side too. And that means we're better placed to help you work through all of the different complexities. We also offer free telephone advice as well. So you can call us up. It might feel like a really big thing to make that very first phone call, but everyone is trained to listen and to understand. We're not trying to push services on you. We're there as a resource for you to explore what the next steps might look like. So at Amicable, we have lots of free resources and help on our website. And you might also want to listen to the podcast that I host as well, called the Divorce Podcast.